Humanity likes props, don't they? They like positioning themselves in an action that would be decreed by others as something of worthiness. Preparing is what I'm specifically talking about. What I want to get into is something else. It's still the same mannerisms, not preparation of your own work to be presented. You know, like a magic magician does shit, makes it look, you know, all magician-y. Even the gloves look kind of magic. Huh? Look at that. No, what I'm talking about here is it's not prepping, it's posturing. It's a habit, very, very huge habit. You guys don't even notice it. You position yourselves. And I'm going to talk in specifics about children today, because you're seeing a shift in children. There was a Facebook note that Roxy came across, and Tommy made a comment on it, and it was today 4 million children in the world are turning 18. It's like, wow, as if that means something. But it does. If you start adding in all the things, then it starts to take form and shape. The children, a lot of them are coming up, and there's a lot of children. You guys are pumping out puppies like before. It's great. People get to come in and have a nice idea, a chance at an incarnation when there's so much seniority and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Children are sponges. They're absolute emptiness. And they do covet as you did. I would like to make something very noteworthy here. When you got here, and I want each and every one of you to ask yourselves this. When you got here, did you start doing arithmetic, logistics, planning, goal setting, or did you just start having fun? What was your natural? I would probably have to say you wanted to play. I don't think you picked up a book and start reading it, start planning your life. I don't think you were, let's say, particularly interested in the clothes you were wearing, if they were acceptable to a business class. I don't think you were. So it might go to show you that natural is play. We don't work in creation. You guys are working because you gave yourself a playtime called going to work. If you really look at adults, you can notice one thing, that most of them are pretending. Now, it's always an observation and allowing that vibration to be interpreted by you. And you can tell, hands down, the ones that are in the passion of the moment, much like Ainsley loves her dancing. Simple. She's not doing it for a job. She's doing it because she loves to dance and sing. She's an entertainer. Perfect. But there are many that would go in the idea of non-talent in that field of dance or arts, music, things that don't have room for many ideas of a secure future. It's kind of edgy to be that of an artist. And that's more play than what you would consider a 9-to-5, the meat and potatoes of humanity. The ones that make everything work. The fabricators, the industrialists, the assembly line workers, the ones, let's say, putting it all together, the truck drivers, the loaders, stock, and the consumers. And you're making the world work. You're making it go around because that's what you chose to do. Great. And these children are growing up much like a representation of a wonderful music video when you guys were still considering music videos to be entertaining. It was called Another Brick in the Wall. We don't need no education is the line from it. And you saw the kids on a conveyor belt falling off and then getting ground up and coming out as meat on the other end, made into maybe a hamburger or something, whatever it was. I didn't see a sausage casing, so I would think hamburger. And that's what you did with children. You just ground them out, and you're that idea status. But today's idea of, let's say, your vibrational earth, the vortex of the current earth that you are, speaks different nominations. The nomination of allowance is present. The nomination of not being so accustomed to the things that you were succumbed to and repeating them. Although you do your best to be a mom, when you have to posture yourself as a mom or a parent, a dad, someone that looks to the eyes of the beholder about you, who are going to judge you, as something of a positive nature. So that's why it's always entertaining to go to Walmart, because at Walmart's where they want to take care of their kids. Or the grocery store, but Walmart's just big and it has lots of people taking pictures, which you guys got, so it made its own notoriety. So parents do that because they bought into it and they forgot that. What the kids are doing is exactly what's natural to them. The kids are not doing anything that's out of bounds. They're not doing anything illegal. They're being something of natural. And then you have to, by societal standards, take that away. That's your job. You want to give them a good life. That's what you excuse yourself with, by forcing them to have certain educations, keeping them in a contemporary and, let's say, logistically dulled expression, so they can have a life of acceptance by others, and also have the means to make their own way in the world without them being a victim. And see, if that right there, that career doesn't fit about 80% of the parents, it used to be a top 90%, but it's gone to about 80%. 80% of the world is very concerned about what their child is going to do for a life, the career. And if it doesn't fit into something that it looks in an outcome, because where do people play? The future, right? Based off of the past. And if it doesn't look like that's going to be something of pleasure, not to you, they don't give a shit about what's going to be fun for you. 80% we're talking. Add in your bell curve. Then you're going to understand that that parent's just trying to keep you within the framework that they find is acceptable to have a successful life. So A, they don't need to be burdensome by you. That's all. And they use their success, if they have that, as a ploy, a means, a posture. And they dangle it in some fashions. And they want you to compare to them. But parents that are listening today, you're a God that plays. And you'll never remember that unless you play with it. Play with what? The God that plays. You got to be that God. We're tired, guys. Is that possible? Is it possible to be tired? It is. Because many of you are not listening. Because you take about 80%, 85% of the words that we speak, and you position them from a posturing standpoint. You filter them. And you have to say, this is what this means. No, this is the default. Relax. But the master has to be aware of its own filters. And every time you enact an engagement of limitation upon the sponge, then you are continuing serious and taking away play. And if anyone is trying to take that away from you, each and every one of you have one ability: to cut them off. Because there's no one on this planet that's ever dependent on another human. That's impossible. Because you have the infinite possibility for the infinite amount of solutions from the infinite amount of problems that you can create. It's whether you want to choose that solution or not. But the children are the generations that will create. There's two possible timelines, and we don't speak of timelines, but we're going to because we're tired. You have a timeline over here that says the ascension can occur within 1,000 years. And then you have another timeline that says humanity has to get off their ass and start to love and work and be whole with each other and work in a camaraderie ship where you lose all dependencies on money, status, countries, flags, and become one nation of humans. And then that will be incurred for 1,000 years. It's going to take 1,000 years for you guys to even come to that point. And then 1,000 years you will learn to be together as that. And generation after generation will be birthed as humans. Although you have intergalactic idea species, you're still not going to be an ascension, a galacticus. You're going to still remain sapient. So it can happen in 1,000, it can happen in 2,000. And this is not anything that you have direct influence on. It's all chosen by each individual singularity. But when you allow a child that is already bright to no longer be dimmed by your light, no matter whose the child is, if it's yours or it's somebody else's, it doesn't matter. If you cultivate and encourage that child, you're allowing the world to be brighter, right then and there. If the mom yells and screams and makes a scene at Walmart because they want to be damned, let's say, postures and damned I am a good parent attitude, then let them. You can turn the other cheek and walk away, because you don't want to give a mad mom a lesson. That's vibration, and vibration begets, and then you'll sustain, and they'll be angry. Especially if it's at Walmart, they'll probably stand up for themselves. Most of them do. So it's not late for you. You're forever. Your life on this planet could stop right now aging, period. And you get to stay here as the human you want to be, as a Highlander, if you guys want to reference that, as long as you want. Because you're God's and you know it. You haven't experienced it at the intimacy level, but you're getting there in a hurry. So you're understanding you can do these things. So there's no waste of time that you have done. Everything you have done has got you to this point of awareness, the relationship with yourself. And I do say that you are most certainly falling in love with yourselves. And you provide light for others. And that's what you call increases the timeline potential of ascension, of humanity to find their own peace. And all you do is provide light. That's all you can give. You can't give anything else noteworthy. Anything else that's defined is going to be an idea of your object created in seek. It must be seeked. You put it out there as something to be seeked, to be needed, and that takes the objection and wraps it up in a nice lax sandwich. Let everyone define you. Let everyone start to understand your light the brightness that you are, the uncomfortable that you are. The children aren't uncomfortable with you. The children are excited that you play. And that child comes into your life at that moment. You do not bestow upon them fear. You do not offer them that of separation. You give them harmony. You give them love. Not love, I love you. Love, the state of being, the provided vortex that you walk into a room immediately is known, no matter where you are. Unless, of course, you're masking or posturing yourself in positions of acceptance. And then you darken your light and you become normal to humanity, one that fits in, if you will. So children that are coming into this world, of course you need your guidance. You're going to give them education. You're going to show them, but you're not going to cram it down their fucking throat. Inoculations will cease. Kids don't need to be protected from the dirt any longer. That's why most of your kids get sick. It's because you guys are so damn clean. Everything is sanitized and clean. They have no chance. The kids have no chance to build up any kind of natural immunities to the world. Planet has bacteria, guys. Planet has things on it. That's part of creation. It's nothing bad. It doesn't get you. The body's a natural idea. It builds up immunes. But when you make everything so clean and don't let the kids get into the dirt and understand that air, and you're protecting them in some kind of cocoon, then they get sick, don't they? Because you're relying on inoculations from a doctor, from a system, to protect your child, when the child never needed protection in the first place. Child needs guidance. Child needs provided a field, a springboard. Yes, Brandy.
Hi. So my granddaughter's a year and a half old, and I've actually caught myself on numerous occasions where she's got a handful of dirt or rocks, and as long as she's not going to choke on it, I just let her go. I just let her go, and I let her do that. And
Yeah, if she chokes on it, which she probably won't, because there's an inherent thing not to choke on it after a certain age.
Yeah. As long as she's not going to choke, I just let her go, and I let her be, and I let her play, and I will never force her to covet. I catch myself all the time. It's been a learning process. She teaches me so much all the time.
Yes, they're natural teachers.
Yes, she is. She's amazing. I will never force a box on her. I can't, I won't.
Good. Provide that field of awareness for others to be the same.
Mm-hmm. And she's listened to a lot of Sly classes. I know everyone wants a Sly baby, and it's not my baby, but it is my granddaughter, and she has listened to a lot of them. And her life will be different because of it.
Of course it will. Absolutely. Thank you for that. So knowing that your posturing, your approach to life, would sometimes be a dedicated habit, much like our friend today, Colton, had such a habit that the mind always thought he walks out a certain way in the mall, and then he goes, oh, of course I parked my car here. It would be insane for me. This is weird. Yeah. Yeah. To park somewhere else. It would be odd for me to park somewhere else. And his mind wouldn't say it. Roxy said it to him, but he didn't hear it because he was so focused. And it took Brent a second time Did you park on the other side of the mall, which took him more descript, and his mind grabbed onto that imagination? And then he said, yes. And then he realized his mind is just such a habit. And it is. And that's the posturing I'm talking about. You guys posture with your children. Does redhead means that they're going to be fiery? No. They take quick to the water means they're going to be a fish and a swimmer? No. It means they're exploring their environment to understand a relationship with it. But parents have habits. People have habits to start, oh, that's what they're going to be. They're labels. They're special. Everyone wants their kid to be special. We know that. You want everything on this planet to be special. You want it to mean something because you're so empty. You're so beautifully empty. It's so empty to feel. Feel how empty. And when I feel through the idea of human interaction, the amount of emptiness you have, and you're always trying to constantly fill it with something that has nothing to do with you, are things that you have already created as you, but you cannot know that relationship. So you objectify these things in hopes of a little bit of fulfilling. And to know that emptiness is magical. To see it is so beautiful. Why are you guys trying so hard to be awesome? Because you don't believe that you have been chosen to exist. You don't believe in your existence in and of itself. It is debatable. It's not factual. It hasn't been researched. Not enough people have said this is the truth. There haven't been enough comfort in numbers, your posturing of life, to validate that expression that I just offered. So therefore, you don't go through life knowing that you're enough until you find enough things that say, I'm enough. Otherwise, you're still running around with your heads cut off trying to figure out the next thing instead of what is. And I'm not speaking just to the class. I'm speaking to all the humanity that's listening in this now. Whatever now that is to each eyes that are watching. You want some tea? Okay. What's that, here? Okay. Life is the moment. Life is not presenting yourself with something of a materialism relationship. And materialism, that's not in the physicality. What is that? Tommy Jean, can you help Roxanne out with this? She seemed to can't get this thing out. I don't know, it seems to be stuck. This thing, I suppose, I don't know. It seems that you work on doing these things in materialism instead of just being life. Whatever life is in the now. You know? Instead, thank you, darling. You're very handsome. We like your hair. You do have a lot of it. And then this, and then that, right? Okay. Roxy wants to know why I said we're tired. Don't we grow with you? Not you, just the class. I've spent more time with you than I ever have in time. In the now, we've always been together forever, but this way, we've only spent a few nows, but I've spent more time with you. So, it's not just the class I'm speaking of. When when we interact with humanity, don't we understand the humanity? How many times can we tell you that you're enough? Is it your fault that you can't say that you're enough? Is it so hard for you to just say that it's my fault, that I accept this as me? And you know you can feel the freedom of it. Why don't you want to? It's not disturbing to us at all. But our vibration grows tired in a frequency of relationship because we cannot be held to a vibration. We, as you, are unconditional, and we will change. And so will you. So to answer your question, Roxanne, we grow tired. It's the same way humans grow tired. Go to the work the same day every way for 30 years. And after about the fourth year, the fifth year, you try to change it. You try to change the way you go to work so you can give yourself a little bit of newness. Maybe seeing a different scenery. Change of scenery is the excuse you give yourself. But you still go to the same way to work for 30 years. Sometimes you do some changes, but it all turns out the same thing. And it's not just going to work, it's the whole life that you're leading. And my vibration doesn't allow me to live that life of the same. So that answers Roxy's question. Because I can't. I can't stay. So your equation, to understand the reference, is that I'm tired. Life is a coffee pot. Life is Tupperware. Wouldn't that be great if they made Tupperware coffins for someone who really loved Tupperware? They make a Tupperware coffin. That'd be a good way to go, wouldn't it? So what we mean by tired is communication stays within a band. I have to birth myself in a timeline of frequency through an awareness, but this vibration that I am with Roxanne exists uniquely because of the vibration. When I am with Esther, it's over here. When I am the past with other channelers and not on your timeline, parallel channelers, and I'm on this idea of Venusian channeler, or I'm a future idea being channeled, these are all relationships with reality according to vibration, not according to my physical stress, because I have no physical stress. But the vibration cannot be sustained, for I am unconditional. You guys can stay the same, though, only for a while. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. Is that Zen tea? Is that what that is? Ah, green tea, the Vert. Very nice. I'll enjoy this with you, Roxanne. And when I come through here, I will no longer be tired, because I will not be the me, and you will most certainly not be the you that we are in this now. But if you contain yourself, then you just won't see this class. That's not a threat. It's not a posture. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's a probability. Undefined, left alone, to be experienced. And then that moment arrives. And when you recognize it, your relationship with that will be utter movement of peace, movement of still. It'll be truly immeasurable. So I would suppose that we came in because if you look at Sly, Sly has a tempo about him. Some would call him a badass motherfucker. I'm a little bit softer. I have more patience with humans. Sly doesn't. Because the vibration he understands himself as doesn't have any accord with your cares or your denominations of, let's say, what you consider proper. And we are in accord through Esther. So that's why we get this version of Abraham in your histories. But this is a different vibration, because Roxy is a different vibration. You're a different vibration. And the experience is different. And that way we can teach you things about yourself, not about me, about yourself, that maybe was unnoticed until you were presented with it. And these presentations are priceless. They're worth more than any amount of money that you can ever possibly imagine having. They're worth more than anything that you would deem happiness and freedom. These vibrations are creation in and of itself. Not because of me and not because of you. It's because it exists. And that's what you are. So if you're the equal of existence, then how can he ever negotiate with your worthiness? Well, it's because you're God, and that's why you can. But then why does it hurt so much, is the question. Why does it hurt so much when you have to face a reality? Why does it stir up so emotions? The child knows nothing but happiness. It understands crying. It understands it's starting to get things taken away. It starts to understand lack. It's taught separation. And it doesn't like it. Children don't like it at all. And you guys let them cry, let them scream, take their things away, prevent them from doing something, tell them no for the mere bullshit excuse of protection. Now, you know what's best. Father never knew best. The motherfucker was blinded as you are. So, these postures that you position yourself as are noticed through your own vibration, your eradication, through choice of I'm worth it, which is the polar opposite of polarization. If there was an opposite for the two polarized worlds you play in, it would be non-polarized. Good and bad are both polar. We're not even asking you to ever play there. Or we are asking you to never play there. Maybe that's a better way to say it. We want you to see through these classes the priceless teachings you're getting through your self of existence, your vibrational choice of interaction, because you have chosen a truth about you. You get this information that says that it's me. And there hasn't been anyone else that has ever done anything, given me anything, ever, ever, period. It's been me accepting, translating, defining, assigning the emotional content of my experience to my life. And a child does not have sadness until it's represented sadness. The child feels emptiness because it knows not connection. And then it understands how it's supposed to be coveted, wants to be coveted. But childs are soon full of life if they're cultivated in mannerisms of allowance. They're all over the world now, but there's not 4 million. There's about 40,000 out of the 8 billion on your planet that are really allowed to be something of absolute freedom. But that number's growing because the parents are understanding that they don't like what they were taught. And of course, the great thing is that you guys die. So you can get rid of the fucking shitstorms on this planet. The baby boomers are going to bye-bye. That's great. Because you don't need their presence anymore in an evolution, in an ascension. They have done their part in time, the congruency of measurement. They have changed from the generation before. And now the generations are no longer gapped by measurable. The generations are so close now, you can't even recognize mother, daughter, and grandmother. They all look about the same. They're all on the same parade ground, finally. They're becoming friends. And that's where this is going. And you're right, Sly Class provides that, Randy. It's not Sly, we just named it Sly's Class. It's the idea. It's Sly, it's Abraham, it's Brandy, it's Jamie. It's creation. None are empty, all are full in the presence of the now. Providing this idea that lights the world, that offers freedom. And it seems insane how you would offer this to someone else. Because all they're looking for is a syllabus, a how-to, a spreadsheet, and a logistics. They want mathematics. They want ways to lay it out in a timeline. But you guys see that didn't work. Otherwise, you wouldn't be arrived in this class. This class says one thing: stop what you do not like and choose what you do. That's it. The net has a teenage driving. How old is he, Nanette? Can we play with you for a moment?
Sure. He's 17.
And he just started learning to drive?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. He wanted to drive?
Well, we were in Germany. He couldn't get it there. So he does and he doesn't. He does and he doesn't.
You know, that's funny, is more and more of the children's don't have the appetite, as in the generations of Roxanne, to learn to drive or to
I
get a
know.
car. Why is that, Nanette?
I don't know, because we loved it, right?
Stop. Don't jump ahead. Well, of course we loved it. Why do you think that is? Because they have other ways to entertain themselves.
Yeah.
See, you didn't have the internet in 1985. A car got you to the social group, the drive-in, the roller skating rink, the mall. Wherever you guys met is where you went to go and interact. That was your social circles. But right now, they can get on Xbox and talk to 30 different friends and play games with them. It's a different world, so that was interesting to play with that. We appreciate that interaction because we are looking at something of a theory in time, and we can see that the youngers are not after the same things. See, there used to be a generation gap of 100 years something would last, but now it's much, much shorter. The things of one generation, 20 years later, the next generation doesn't give a flying shit about. Make sense?
Yes.
Because as soon as cars became popular, everyone wanted a car. You know what it did? It provided access. Two ways. Away from mom and dad and to whatever freedom lied there. But now freedom is found in different ways of communication. There's the grandchild. It's found in many different ways. It's found on a cell phone to be stared at hours on end. And people look at those idea posture like that's a bad thing. Schools are shunning cell phones. These are ways of communicating with creation. But of course, people label them because it's not productive. Back to the posturing parent. They look at this idea and they have to stay this idea in certain mannerisms of moving forward. Otherwise, it gets off track and his life is lost. Because they don't have the foresight of the God that they see before him to create their own world. They don't trust it. Ainsley is surprised the living shit out of her parents. But her parents doesn't want to still accept it because dad's ego is so big because he's got a small dick, I would think, because he's just so big in his ego that he can't accept his daughter has managed to survive without his advice for 2 years while doing exactly what she loves. And as long as you keep seeking that approval, Ainsley, you will never get it. So make sure you're the master in the moment and give no accord to his needs, or you will feed his darkness. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
Very good. We want to teach with you in different ways. We want to experience Roxy in a different way. We want to hone her skills in a different way. We want to offer you little things that are implanted with these seeds that the next day will grow into an entire field of unbelievable, a way to receive reality. Because these words are not empty and they do not need to be clued to the conscious mind. They are truly immeasurable. They are explored forever. Just like the interaction a couple of weeks ago with the lipstick. Jen said, Rux, you got all that out of lipstick? Yes, because it's a world. One little denoted idea can be taken that direction forever. These classes that don't have meaning, that are not contained to an idea of outcome, become priceless, everlasting, and always edged. Always edged. Angelica popped in. Hello, Angelica. How are you this evening?
Doing pretty good, thank you.
How's your daughter?
She is happy, happy, happy.
Yeah, she's naturally happy, isn't she?
She is, and she's sick, got a cold, but she's still happier than anybody I know.
Yes. But her cold's fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Of course it is. Because she likes to have an experience called cold. So you
I
let
don't
him
like
have
to
it.
yeah, I don't like to put too much energy into it or
Very good.
worry about it. I just kind of observe and what needs to be
Allow.
done. Yeah.
And what needs to be done will be known to be done in the moment. Anything
Right.
before that would be interjection, right?
Right.
Perfect. Yes. You're definitely going to enjoy the class if you choose to go back and listen to it. It's all about children.
Is it over?
No, it's not.
Okay.
We're still discussing ideas. They don't go in any certain order or temperament. We don't want anything to be predictable. The classes start and they go where I go. And you go where I go as I go where you go. And the class goes where you go. There can never be disharmony. So maybe that shows you something. That the classes go in directions of no purpose. And I would dare say, I would ask you all to go back and review in your mind the worthiness of the classes to your mind of measurement. And the classes with no direction turn out to be what you call outstanding. Why would that be different than life? Why does life have to be controlled? Maybe because of habit. I'm going to mute you, Angelica. Maybe because of habit, of course. Maybe because of fears, absolutely. But all these ideas are changeable. There's nothing that is solid anywhere in creation that not that need not to be changed. That doesn't ever need to be changed. Because change is an occurrence of the now. Hello, Christine. Can you hear us? Our internet's still connecting, it seems. Yeah, maybe she'll be able to join in. Ah, there she is. Can you hear us now, Christine?
Yeah, thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Where do you live?
In Los Angeles.
How is LA tonight?
Beautiful.
Wow, look at the California connection. You got Jennifer and Rose in LA. You got
Nice.
Jamie in Pasadena. You got Busker Dan. Oh, I'm sorry, Busker Dan's in Austin, right, Roxanne? Yes. It's Colton, who is down in San Diego. California connection becoming alive. We haven't seen you, Roxy says, in quite some time. How have you been?
Crazy.
You've been crazy? Well, that was fun, wasn't it?
It has been fun.
Ah.
It's been fun. It's been strange as usual.
Strange is a reference to a mind that measures reality, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
Because if I was born in an idea of a magical world, somewhere maybe equal to Alice, and I had, let's say, pipe smoking caterpillars, I had rabbits that kept stopwatches on them and would claim that they're late, I must go. I am late. Now, if I grow accustomed to that on a daily basis in a forgotten land of coveting gods, and the sky was green and the grass was blue, but it was my normalcy, then it would not appear to be strange, but to a stranger, it would be strange. Correct?
Hmm.
And since your mind is letting go of belief systems that filtered your land of normalcy, bestowed upon a dryer, valued as the truth, normal, then you're starting to get strange in your life. Because the predictability and controlling of your life hasn't been such a forte for you to keep trying. See, every time you give up what you're supposed to do, what you need to do, what you have to, then your world does get, oh yes it does, it gets strange. It starts to take new shape and new form. It never is, however, dangerous. I've never seen a dangerous world. No matter how much it's fraught with danger, there's no extinguishing your light. That, Christine, is impossible. So what you have provided yourself, have you been listening to some of the classes?
A few, yeah. Hmm.
You get the emails and such. I'm not familiar with your interactions with Roxanne. Is that true?
I did a private with Roxanne.
Oh, a private, yes. Is she sending you some of the tapes?
No, I
Some of the
haven't.
class?
Haven't
Oh,
received.
well, maybe she should.
That would be lovely.
I'll talk to her about it.
Okay.
So, in your idea of being awake and movement of reality, you have found there has never been a danger. So maybe that gives you somewhat of a permission slip to allow reality a little bit more loose, so you can see the colors of the rainbows that you've been blinded to, because all you've been looking at, what you find is normal, and therefore that's all you could notice. Roxy's hands are tired. That's why she's putting on gloves. They're cold. So this is Abraham, by the way. Good to see you. We already know each other. As all we do, we are friends. I just love that word. Friends. You would want more. Humanity makes things more. Besties. Best friends. But in the moment, aren't we the same? So is there anything that's best or better or worse about that? In the moment, all friends are immeasurable. So, we were talking about children tonight, Christine. We're talking about allowing the children to play more so, to cultivate that sponge mind that covets what it sees, doesn't understand, is in a process of learning, experiencing the unknown through a completely new awareness, a strange land, much as you found your reality to be strange. Imagine a child. Child is very strange. But quickly they grow into gods, little gods at toddlers. They know their own demand and command. They have such bravery. They do not cower at the sight of a cat or a dog or a duck. But they're taught danger, and then the covet and belief is instilled, and the frequency of that detailed interaction starts to change, and the child becomes afraid. As we all have grown up on this planet afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of ourselves? I create this. I can't be afraid of a cabinet that offers no threat. But if I do not lock my door at night, I am under the guise of a probability of being robbed. So I bar myself, I close my blinds, I put the double locks on and protect myself from danger of an unknown reality. And these are postures of life that create your reality. They are vibration. We love that you guys call yourself tacticians of vibration. It's a true artist to understand yourself, your own vibration, and not being afraid, Jennifer Bells, to understand something about the vibration that you interpret of another. Because when you have grown accustomed to lack and you understand it in its immediacy, this offers a frame reference to allow them to be free from that, only by offering the recognition to them. But if they do not accept it, then no preaching is needed, right? Damn right. The thoughts through Roxy's head, the thoughts through all of your heads, the beauty that you guys are. I get to see it from a standpoint looking at forgotten gods. And now you guys are seeing. As Roxy was walking back today, through the mall, seeing all the people running around, being their lives, she had a moment of compassion for humanity because she saw they just lost. They just don't know what they can have. And Tom said, it's their game, Roxy. Let them have it. And she remembered her godship. Because the game they're playing is not fraught with danger. It doesn't have edges of fear. It has own interpretation. Each single idea choosing what it is. That's priceless. When did we come in? Did we come in on Monday? Yes, we did, Brent? Monday.
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
So
And today is Wednesday?
Wednesday evening.
Wednesday evening. Thank you. Go ahead, Brent. You have something?
Yeah, I just found that fascinating. So you were saying that when you're coming through Esther, it's literally the past. It's like a separate timeline. The
Oh,
information that you
yes.
get.
Of course it is. See, imagine, if you will, today, that this is the year 3076, as Tom has experienced here recently. If I could give you a denotation that that's the actual year, and what you guys are doing is dreaming about the past, and the actual year into accord of the timeline of humanity. Let's keep it in that framework, because there's timelines all over the planets, all over the world, all over the galaxies. But just keep this one. Your actual timeline that you're physically in evolution of what you understand yourself in this Akashic universe through a human perspective, whether you choose to be human again, Galacticus, or you go to Divinicus, or just hang around and watch. Just say you're in the year 3076. That's where I would be coming to here, because I'm in the same dream. When you're co-creating with Esther, you're in a different world. You're in a different Abraham. You're in a different timeline. You're from a different point of view. I would be the age of 2257. That's where I'm coming from. Because this is all your past, my friends. This has already happened. That was denoted through two of your ideas, Ramtha and Seth, that you've already played this out. Seth put most of it in a further timeline, because from the standpoint of Seth, the Seth that he was, he can barely remember himself as Seth. He remembers Seth when he starts coming in through the Ouija board. He remembers Seth. He remembered. He remembered Seth. Yeah, that's right. I remember Seth. Yeah. Yes, there was another version of Seth. Seth 2 is what she called him. It was very difficult because the vibrational structure of the two Seths, one was static and one was fine-tuned according to the vibration of the chain.
Does Esther ever ask that you don't go to certain places when you're coming through? Like place restrictions on it?
Does Esther put restrictions on me?
Yeah, like ask you to
She
not
doesn't
talk.
premeditate anything. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yeah.
She doesn't premeditate. Maybe in the moment she doesn't want to go certain places.
Yeah.
That's a vibrational choice. It's usually not done and I don't want to go there, but there have been times, but those are more older than of recent histories. Because like all humans, once you know your stomping grounds, you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
It's your neighborhood. And I am well versed. I am her neighborhood. How about that?
So that could be pretty fun for you if you pick Tammy to come on stage when she goes on the cruise, being in this class. What you guys
Well,
could
I have
create.
to go back to that Abraham, tell that Abraham that she's on a cruise and go and tell Tammy to come on stage, which I
Yes.
just did. Now it's up to Esther.
Excellent.
You liked that, didn't you?
Yeah. That
It
was
made
fun.
it made him happy. Did you guys just see he found some happiness? That's exciting.
Thank you.
I think Jennifer would be next, and then we see you, Rebecca. You are smiling brightly. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I was kind of in a zoning out place when you were talking.
Stupor?
Can you say what you said again to me about confusion and lack? I didn't get that.
What do you mean? What part? We said a lot about lack and confusion.
I don't know. You just said something to me and I didn't understand it. I don't know.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You can go back and listen, but I don't think you're going to need to.
Okay, then forget it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Rebecca, BDXS. Are you there?
Unmute now. Okay.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. So earlier in the morning class, you mentioned that Jesus ascended within the collective mindset, not in the physical plane.
In the psyche, yes.
The psyche. I'm wondering if you could explain that.
Well, you have parts of yourself that are a dream. So let's say this happened, okay? Okay, here's a perfect reference. Do you remember, Rebecca, when I got up and I started making the tea?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, the tea part was a memory. I actually never started the teapot. But what was real was the removal of the physicality. That took place in physical. The memory, the psyche, told you that I went over here and started making the tea. Otherwise, I was here and then I was here with this thing. So there's nothing here that would make sense. How did I get here? And asking Tommy to remove the idea of the used, what do you call it, Roxanne? K-cup? Thank you. A used K-cup. So you needed congruency. So the class collective psyche agreed that there was a timeline that showed me doing this, although that part never took in physicality. And that would be the same. Are you following that, reference, maybe?
I think I am. Yeah, I think I am. It's like we almost like we fill in the gaps to make the story
Yes,
complete. Okay.
of course. Because you don't
Okay.
spend 100% of the time in physical world. Some of you spend a lot more than you, because you like it. You know, like Ainsley spends a lot of time in the physical world because she's physical. Some of you then not so much interested in being in the physical world. So you go to work. Physically, you were there maybe for 4 of the 8 hours, and then you remember driving home, and you left work, and the next thing you know, you're at the store, and you don't remember exactly how you got home. So, but you do remember you got home, so you weren't physical from this point to this point, because there's no time. It's just another now, and in that now, you give yourself the illusion that you drove for the last 20 minutes to get to this wherever you're at, because that's what congruent. That's the simplicity of it. How about
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Yeah. So in biblical times, when it comes to Jesus dying and stuff and all of that, it's they were filling in the gaps to make themselves like feel better or like to make it all come together in a
No, it
logical
was
way?
just whatever the psyche played out, yes. And it wasn't, they were thinking about how it should be. They were, at the time, letting the vibration take them where it was, trying to control it as much as they could, but the story wasn't very controlled at all. What was controlled was the interpretation of the story by your Constantine fellow. That's what was controlled. The Bible is much bigger. That story is much larger. There are many, many things that have been edited and lost in translation. Are you following that? Yeah, there was
Yeah.
very little control in the ideas of the what you call those personas expressed. That of John and John the Baptist we're speaking of, that of Jesus, that of Paul, and of course Judas. These were all real humans, real psyche awarenesses, many from the same collective, if you will. And they played out in their dream state this idea occurrence. And they played it out to the likability of themselves, but they didn't influence it as you would think it would be influenced in nowadays. You guys are so influenced by control because you're at the end of control. That's why control seems so large. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a cool
Back
perspective.
then, there was no control. Life was. You ate fish, you broke bread, you had a good time. You just made a living. There was no entertainment. That's why you had, let's say, that's why your industrial age brought so many inventions, is because you weren't entertained with different modalities. Because of the ingenious idea of having time on your hands with a new, let's say, precedent on intelligence, knowledge, know-how, education, then you increased your capability to completely change your time frame and be entertained in a different manner. Make sense with that? Is that kind of clear?
Yeah, that's fun to think about.
Yeah, that's lots of fun to think about.
And then I just was curious when it comes to you, like as a collective, or I don't know, gestalt,
We
I
are
guess.
collective,
Collective, okay.
as is
How
Roxy, as is Sly, as is all of you.
how long have you been teaching humanity?
Oh my goodness, almost 17 million years.
So who was the first with the humans? Like, was it like
Oh no, not 17 billion years of it's 17 million for me. 17 billion is you guys, but I have been on several timelines. You must understand that from the now you're shooting off just say 1,000 worlds. Some of these worlds never connect. So I go to world to world to world to world, whoever's in the vibration connection. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah. Okay.
It's
Yeah,
what's there.
that's
Take an idea. We understand you're not an artist, Roxanne. Take an idea and draw a circle and go out. Hang on. Stick with me. Okay. You kind of get the idea with this, right? You
Yeah,
see?
yeah, the
And
probable
there's other
timelines.
Earths. There are just
Okay.
other Earths. And I
Okay.
vibrate because they're all in the now, so I can take my time with each one of them. Because what's created in the now? Memory, right? Memory, time, created in the now. I can go to any of these and create it on time. And I do. I go to a lot of them. But I teach in different ways. I teach as incarnation. I teach as ghosts. I teach as dreams. I teach as being channeled. I teach as many off different ideas. I would be called a teacher, but of course it's just an interaction. You guys understand that more than teacher-student now because you're becoming more teachers. Does that answer your question?
It does. Well, I love the way you teach. I love your teaching. So I
Yeah.
think it's cool that you're even though you're tired that you teach us.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to leave because I'm tired. The vibration is, remember, it's not a choice. It's the vibration is growing tired because I am distancing myself as you are distancing yourself from this history. You guys are going to wake up by default to knowing that you're no longer history because you're choosing your worthiness. You're choosing your awake. You're choosing your awareness. You're understanding what's keeping you in history, in the past, in the dark. Are you following that?
Hmm.
So that's why you get a different version of me because I am not on the same idea as history, as what was, let's say, the other version of Abraham, much like the other version of Seth. You okay with that?
I am okay with that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. I know you're okay with it, but I was wondering if you understood it up here in logical.
I think I do. Yeah, it's coming together.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Ainsley, go ahead.
Hi, Abraham.
Hello.
This was inspired off of Brent's offering, but I'm aware that Abraham and Esther channel on Celebrity Cruises, and that's currently the company I'm working for. So I would like to ask if I could set up.
You don't need to set it up. December is a probability.
Okay. So our interaction is a probability that will play out.
Saying the word probability and will is, let's say, contradictory, isn't it?
Mm.
It's a probability. It's a probability that it will play out. Gives you a meaning of hope, a definition, or a relationship to that probability.
Right.
You want to be on a cruise with Esther? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and do this for me right now. You ready?
Yes.
I accept that I'm ready to be on a cruise with Esther.
I accept that I'm ready to be on a cruise with Esther.
Okay, now leave it alone.
Okay.
And let creation take care of itself. And when the moment presents something to you, that would be in that same vibration vortex, adding, well, let's say, an ingredient to that recipe of that now of interaction, then do so. And it will be absolutely effortless. It will be passion, and it will have no accord to preaching or hoping or dreaming or pushing. It will be, here's this. Make sense?
Yes.
Good. Very good. Janet, then back to Jennifer.
Abraham, could
Hello.
you expand on what the vibration of blue is?
You would have to reference it firstly to an idea of what blue means to you, and then there it will go. Blue can mean stately as well as cagey. When I feel blue, I have a twofold reference with humanity in blue. That of water, which is a universal idea about humanity. They all call water blue. They, we, us, outside of a human psyche, perspective, a fractal world, if you will. Are you following that person first?
Yes.
So blue would be water. As we say, that's good blue. But to me, if I look at blue through human ideas, I would see something that is stately. Now, when I say the word stately, what does that mean to you?
Like bold but still.
I would say, let's say, solid, bold yet solid, confident, stately
Yes.
manner.
Yeah.
So that would be my idea of blue. But see, blue is worlds. Blue is something to be explored, much like any other color. But we like blue, so we'll stay with blue. Blue means to you what it can mean in vibration as a possibility of twofold as well. What you think blue is, what you have referenced in the past what blue is, and then what blue's going to tell you if you leave it alone. So I ask you then, what does blue mean to you?
Blue to me means peaceful, stately, and leave it alone.
There you go.
Thank you.
Blue is not depressing. Blue is not down in the dumps. That was an idea because it was opposite of red. See, when red, hothead, red-faced, you know, when people, especially the whitey-tidies, when they start getting here to Americas, their face would become very flush in anger. So they were denoted as hothead or red. So the opposite of that hot would be blue, sad. So that's where the term "why so blue" came.
Thank
But
you.
blue is not that. Blue is whatever it is to each individual. But for me, blue is not that of "why so blue." It's like telling a horse, "Why are you long in the face?" Because it's natural. Jennifer liked that one.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome, darling. Yes, Jennifer. Do your best. We can go to Brent if you want to.
That's a funny joke. I just want to go back to when you were talking to Rebecca about going up and making the tea.
Yeah.
So we talk about probabilities and potentials and all that stuff that goes on a now to now basis. Whenever I'm interested in not the mechanics, but when we do focus on something, like Levi had a session with him the other day, and he said, for example, if you one day have somebody that offers you a guitar and you don't want to play the guitar, then you don't play the guitar. But if you have that interest, that keen insight, or not just you're attracted to the guitar.
The intrigue.
Right, the intrigue.
Is what we call it, yes.
Once you if you just completely let go into it non-polarized, you pick the guitar up, you can start playing it without any purpose. It's just an in-the-moment experience, right?
Yes, perfect. Couldn't have said it better.
And so that's what we're doing at all times. It's really when we decide to put
A gap.
Yeah, the gap that's created by labeling something, or I will get this from it or whatever, that kind of skews it, right?
Skews what?
Skews
The experience?
Yeah, the experience.
It doesn't necessarily skews it. It takes it out of its natural, if you want to call that skewing.
So our natural is just having every experience non-polarized.
Yes.
In the moment.
Absolute non-polarity. Immeasurable.
First time. That's why I'm expressing it. I'm actually seeing it for the first time. Where it leads to then it just rolls over into whatever else is there in that now.
Of course. And it doesn't necessarily roll over, it continues as, is a better way to state it.
Oh,
everything continues as the now.
So we are really just still.
Yes.
Experiences come about.
Yes, it passes through you.
Right. Once we're intrigued by that experience, everything backs it up. Memories.
Everything. Because it's become the choice of the truth, so the truth is reinforced by your reality.
Yeah, what spurred
That's
this
why you have such a vivid experience. That's why when things suck and you command them to suck, that's why you feel, holy shit, this sucks. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, yeah, it does. And so what spurred it on was your conversation with Rebecca and then Brent about time, the timelines of, you being a different Abraham when you're with Esther and wherever else you do it. So that's the quasi mind. We have that potential of tapping into all of those potentials in one moment, right?
Correct.
So what makes us stay in that now and do that next thing in a non-polarized fashion?
Nothing makes you do anything. It's natural.
Yeah, that's the sticky.
You don't make yourself do the next thing. I didn't make myself come into this class. I'm the vibration of this class. This class and we all chose, if you want to put us separate, but it's not. It's a co-creative experience that has no intention. It's just the next now.
Right.
Esther and Abraham then say it's the next logical step. I'm sure you've heard Esther say that, right?
Yeah.
It's the natural of what it is. It's not to be given an assignment. It can't be helped, in other words.
Right. So
So when you stop trying to help reality, reality becomes natural.
it's not even trust. It's just the natural.
Trust was a bridge.
Ah, okay.
It had to be employed because you guys never trusted yourselves. You need to experience you trust and no one else to trust. There's no reason to trust anyone else with your happiness.
Yeah.
So you trusted yourself, and that created a bridge back to worthiness from unworthy land.
Yeah, I wanted to express that because I was seeing it. Thank you. Now I can see.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Angelica, one second, Brent. Angelica wrote something. I remember in a Q&A one time someone asked what the meaning of a rainbow is, and the entity said, so humans can understand, there is a spectrum of vibration represented through colors, just like a scale of a musical staff, a musical scale, you know, B-flat scale in half notes. Starts in B flat, ends on B flat. And you understand there's that idea. Very good, Angelica. Brent, you are available, yes?
This follows exactly what Jennifer was talking about, but I guess you just answered it, because now that I'm relaxing into this new way of being, I find myself holding an intention to remember to view from non-polarity, but you just said that it's just the natural, like it's just
natural.
What I'll relax into. Don't.
Yes.
Okay.
The more you be relaxed into the now and let the now come unfiltered, the more non-polarity you will remember. How, in other words, non-polarity is a relationship to reality that does, as we said, contain emotions, but not the emotional state of what you only know on the polarity scale. You drop polarity, you take your most awesome bliss, and you put it in as a bridge or maybe a platform, what is better, Roxanne? A springboard into what you call non-polarity, and you don't measure your experience. You feel it. And the one thing the conscious mind's going to notice is that it's not bad. It's not it's not measured in a polarity field. It's unfamiliar. It's the stately of blue. As Roxy said, it was stony when she felt her first idea of non-polarity. It's difficult to get used to, Brent, because your habits, just like Colton walked outside, my car's gone. It wasn't gone, it was on the other side, but his mind convinced him that it was gone because of his habits. So you don't recognize your habits of emotion and how things equate, why life is so shitty. If Roxy walked into a church and said that you're all gods, the first thing they're going to do is react in a way that defends their position of God is outside, correct?
Yeah, and I see that I'm asking from a point of not being able to not having lived yet.
Well, yes, and that's okay. Yeah. Brent, you've made great strides. Me and you are different together now because of me and you before. right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how me and you are now. So you have changed because me and you are now and not before, correct?
Right.
So you can measure yourself in movement.
Yeah.
So what you are understanding is that non-polarity is, it would almost be futile to measure it, to label it, to try to contain it, because any amount of containment does one thing. It sustains it in the current of the containment that you've placed upon it. See, I'm a idea of a creator, okay, Brent? So I have an idea that comes into my reality, and I find something that is exciting, but I want to understand it. So I'm going to take a container and I'm going to grab it and I'm going to put it away. And I'm going to label it and I'm going to put it up here and says, look at my containers of life. But I want you to not notice what I put in them, because that doesn't matter. I want you to notice the container. Did you notice that the container was already here, Brent? The container was already present. So that means it's from the present of the past. It was already here. Before I got up, it was in the awareness. So the container in itself is a vibration of an experience that contains the current now and keeps it solidly in time. Solidly in time. So whenever the unknown comes in a relationship to you, it has a relationship. Okay? And you take the containers and scoop it up and try to label it because you're uncomfortable with the strange land, as Christine was saying. And she hurriedly habits herself. It's not her fault. It's the default. It's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. It's the default. And you have to be aware. The master is aware. The Sly's class is making you aware, offering awareness of your containers you're quickly so pulling out as a defensive mechanism. So when you let go, you're not going to contain it, and it's going to be able to flow through you, as Jennifer just stated. You're still, and creation passes through you. And you're not going to be able to equate it so quickly to what it was, because your habits have been ceased. You're not valuing in importance that old vibration, energy follows awareness. Where you place your focus, you're not valuing to contain in such a quick manner. You're allowing it to pass through you a little bit more freely, showing you that blue is not blue, blue is stately. How does that feel?
Incredible.
Yes. Very good. Brett.
So this class is like truly the leading edge, because I was telling Rebecca on the phone the other night, I was deleting junk mail from my email, and I accidentally clicked on one of Daniel Scranton's, and I think it was from the Arcturian Council, and they were saying like, newsflash, you are your higher mind. And I was like, Jesus, like this is what Roxy was talking about like 2 years ago, and now, you know, they're just now starting to talk about that.
Well,
then I saw the beauty of it, because I know that everyone, it's perfect, because everyone's receiving, they're in their own timeline, and they're receiving the information at the pace that's appropriate and comfortable for them.
Yes, but it also reinforces your enactment of your own. So remember what we just said. Jennifer pointed it out. Your entire reality reinforces your truth.
Yeah, I found my worthiness.
Yes, you found that
through comparison of being like, holy shit. But then, you know, I knew I was finding worthiness through comparison.
But that's okay. Because that's not sustained in permanency of time. That's the moment, and the moment is over. Release it. Don't contain anything. Allow the unknown to keep becoming known.
Yeah.
You cannot help but be the leading edge.
Yeah.
There's no reason to compare. Roxy sees it too. Roxy sees their channelers and people repeating things that which she was channeling 2 years ago. But that doesn't matter, does it? Because we're all one here, and this isn't a finish line. It's not a race, and there's no finish line. There's freedom to be found through light workers, and that's why we're here.
In this time, which us in the class are relating to physically, is there any other humans besides Roxanne that are receiving something at this level?
Sure. Whether they're choosing to interpret it is different. Roxy
In
puts
Amer-
it out on a mass scale.
Okay.
Roxy put it out as a mass scale.
Okay.
You can see that what's noticeable out there is vibration, light, correct? There are
Yeah.
some that are getting these ideas, but many of them don't choose to share it at this idea frequency. In other words, this means of getting it out there, the internet, things like that. But yeah, this class is uncomparable because there's no reason to compare it, Brent. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Tammy made it in. She's going to be meeting me on a cruise ship here shortly.
Yes.
Yeah, I texted her and told her that we set up a little date for you guys.
Yes. Now we've left it to Esther, and let's see how Esther plays her reality.
Yeah, sounds good. We had a fantastic snowmobile ride and just got back from that. So,
Wonderful.
yeah. Good to see you. See you soon.
See you soon.
Yep.
Very good. When you find yourself, Brent, in a comparison stage, and you know your comparison has been validated through the reinforcement of another, then be okay with that. Okay? And let the moment continue. Because the more you appetite in seeking to know more, then you're going to pull out containers. You're doing good work, Brent. And when I say good, that's immeasurable, but that's for the conceding mind to understand that it is good work. Okay? Do we have any other questions this evening? Yes. Tommy Jean's question was, how does his dad perceive time in comparison on how humans perceive time? The comparison would be this. He lives in a different idea of world where the orbital paths are longer. So the days are much longer. But there's no idea of day and night time in this idea because he lives in a binary system, so there's always light. But it's not direct sunlight as you would understand it. But the hours and measured time would be the minutes. If you were to have a minute, the minute would be, let's say, 1 minute on your planet would be 7 minutes to them. Does that make sense? So that's one idea of a differentiation. The other idea is they don't create memories in the moment because they are now. You guys have a gap, and the gap is understanding you are between nows as well as the now. The between nows is covered up with the memory because your brain is not fast enough to perceive the now as is, as opposed to the draconians or any other species for that matter. With who? Well, with humanity, yes, of course. Everything will evolve, yes. So they don't fill their time, their memory between the nows, and they don't give themselves a memory in the moment to create the illusion of time. They understand because they are time and not the idea of a relationship to time that's equal to the relationship of humanity. Are you interested in this? Okay, how does that sound? Are the kids watching? I can't see on your camera. Lower the camera down. There they are. Cinderella and Little Darla, I believe. Yes. Very nice. Okay. Any other questions this evening? Well, that was a good, yummy class if we wanted to talk about that. Feels good, didn't it?
Thank you for the shout out to kids.
You're welcome. I'm going to zippity-doo-dah on out of here and bring Miss Roxanne back. Stand by for station identification. Bye-bye.